It is again through the Bible with Mukhwana Isaac. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Yesterday, or in our previous sharing, we looked at the religious places where we saw the temple, like that of Jerusalem, a place where sacrifices used to take place. We also looked at the synagogue. This was a meeting place where prayers took place, taking of scripture readings, but not offering sacrifices. So today we look at holidays of the Jews. The Sabbath was the day consecrated to God. It was a day of prayer and rest from work. Since the Jews were forbidden to work or travel far on the Sabbath, it became a day for visiting each other for discussions. Several times we read of Jesus being asked on the Sabbath to someone's home, and he would there discuss religious questions with the Pharisees. So many rules were made concerning the keeping of the Sabbath that Jesus reapproached the Pharisees. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, as we read in the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 2, verse 27 to 28. Yes, the Pharisees looked on these man-made laws as if they were the unchangeable commands of God Himself. Christ taught that love is behind and above the law. Yes, He gave extra weight to this by healing sick people on that day, on the Sabbath day. I'll look at the feasts. The principal feast among the Jews were the Passover. These were principal feasts. The Pentecost, the Feast of the Tabernacles, and the dedication. The Passover or Passover took place at about the beginning of April. It was formerly a springtime feast to celebrate the first barley harvest of the year. The Israelites changed it to remind themselves of all that had transpired, that had happened at the first Passover, when the angel passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt, but destroyed the firstborn of the Egyptians, thus forcing the Egyptians to let the Israelites go free from Egypt. More than 1,000 pilgrims are said to have gone annually to Jerusalem in the time of Christ for this feast. Yes, and have continuously gone there. Just like Christ Himself went there. The Feast of Pentecost. This took place 50 days after the Passover. It was formerly a summer feast celebrating the growth of wheat harvest. the Israelites had changed it to remind themselves of the giving of the law on Mount Sinai 50 days after crossing the Red Sea and definitely leaving Egypt. The Feast of Tabernacles took place in late September or early October. It had formerly been an autumn vineyard feast. The Israelites changed it into Thanksgiving feast for the harvest. And also, it was a reminder of the 40 years of outdoor living that they had spent in the wilderness, where they lived in tabernacles, that is the tents, yes. So the feast of the dedication of the temple was celebrated toward the end of December. It had been begun to remember the purification of the temple made by Judas Maccabeus. Judas Maccabeus in about 165 BCE, after Antiochus Epiphanes had profaned it. This feast lasted 8 days and was not it was actually noted for the torchlight processions which were held. So Jesus, we read in the Gospels that he went to observe this. Actually, he observed these feasts. He could go to Jerusalem temple for these feasts wherever. Every time they found him, he went there. He went there to observe this. And the cleansing of the temple, he had gone there for a feast. So these are the key feasts, the principal feasts among the Jews: the Passover, Pentecost, the Feast of Tabernacles, and the dedication. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Mukhwana Isaac. Tomorrow we will look at the religious and political groups in Palestine at the time of Jesus. Be blessed.